Goldman Sachs predicts a 2008-sized housing crash here in San Jose in the integrated Bay Area, but is it officially time to panic? Coming up on this Silicon Valley Snapshot. For over 6 months now, the Bay Area housing market has been in a bit of a free fall. We've gone down quite a bit since that peak market in April, May of 2022. But is the Bay Area housing market destined for a mega crash here in 2023? Well, Goldman Sachs and the media would certainly like you to believe that that's the case. But looks can be deceiving, and that's what we're going to get into. We're going to get into all the data and all the facts right now. But before we do that, before we get into the data, if you're a home buyer in today's marketplace, you're looking for a comprehensive data set to assist you with your home buying decision making, you can text the word data plus the area or the zip code or the neighborhood that you're looking in, and we're going to get that information sent straight to your inbox. And if you're a home seller in today's marketplace and you're reading the headlines and you're like, oh my gosh, is now the right time for me to sell? And man, if I do, like, what should I price my property for? What can I expect to get from this market? All of those questions will be answered when you text the word data plus your property address to the number down below. We'll get all of that information sent straight to your inbox. This madness all started about a week and a half ago or so, where we saw Goldman Sachs publish that 4 cities here in the United States are destined for a 2008-sized housing crash, over 25% decrease in home values. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that is a scary headline. But when you really dig into the article and you dig into what they're saying, we'll understand that actually Goldman Sachs is pretty much telling us what we already knew. And I'll explain. Jack Rogers of Globus.com says Goldman Sachs is forecasting that 4 cities should brace for a decline in housing prices of more than 25%, a plunge not seen since the housing market collapsed in 2008. In an advisory to its clients this month, Goldman said home prices in San Jose, Austin, Phoenix, and San Diego will experience boom to bust pendulum swings that will likely take prices down this year by more than 25% compared to 2022 peaks, the New York Post reported. Ooh. Hold on, let's read that one again. Will likely take prices down this year by more than 25% compared to 2022 prices. So what I want to do right now is look at what 2022 prices look like. Look at what they look like at the very peak, and then figure out how much of this 25% damage has already been done. Because let's face it, I have not sugarcoated the carnage that has happened over the last 6 to 8 months or so. It has not been an easy market by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, let's face it, when the Fed artificially raises rates by 3%, effectively raising prices by 30% in doing that, by raising your monthly payments by 30% in doing so, we could actually very easily expect a 25% swing. I mean, that is not out of the question. I certainly didn't think it was going to be this dramatic, but it's like they say, that's why we play the game, right, folks? So here's the thing. When I read articles like this, when I read headlines like this, I'm instantly skeptical of the messaging in the article. Because let's face it, when you read the headline, Goldman Sachs, 4 cities face 2008-sized crash in housing prices, that is obviously a fear-mongering, attention-grabbing headline. And so what I tend to do is I tend to put my thinking cap on and be like, okay, hold on a second. That's not actually what the article is saying, because it says 25% compared to 2022 peaks. So what I want to do is take you through this research that I've done to show you what the actual numbers look like from the peaks in 2022 and what they're looking like right now. So the first thing I did was I went into the multiple listing service, which, if you are not familiar, that is where all real estate data kind of lives. That is like the central database for real estate agents to input their listings to. And that's the database actually that syndicates to all of those websites that you're used to looking at homes on, which is like Redfin and Realtor.com and Zillow, just to name a few. So I went into the MLS and I searched for single family homes that were sold in April of 2022 that were between 1,500 and 2,500 square feet. So like that meat and potatoes square footage range, anywhere from 3 to 4 bedrooms. So this is what I found. If we look at all of the properties that fit that criteria that sold in April of 2022, we had an average price per square foot of 1,042. So 1,042 a foot for a single family home sold in April that fits that criteria. Now, let's flash forward to December of 2022. Same square footage, same property type, everything. When we flash forward, this is what we find. The average price per square foot for properties sold in December were $804 a foot. Effectively, the market has come down from 1,042 a foot to 804 a foot. That is a significant decrease. That is a 23% decrease, to be precise. Now, keep in mind, what we're doing is targeting specifically single family homes. The single family sector tends to hold its value significantly better than townhomes and condos. So this was a 5-minute piece of research that effectively shows that 25% that Goldman Sachs is predicting is pretty much already taking place in San Jose, which is actually what I've been saying over these last few weeks. But we'll get into that in a second. We'll get into that. What I wanted to do, though, is actually compare this to Willow Glen, which is one of the more affluent neighborhoods in San Jose, to see if maybe Willow Glen has been more protected from this crash, so to speak. And what we found is actually pretty interesting. So in Willow Glen, we looked at all the single family homes sold in April of 2022. The average price per square foot of $1,204 a foot. Now, when we compared that to Willow Glen, 95125, all of 95125 in December, we had an average price per square foot of $917 a foot. The results are actually fairly consistent. So looking at neighborhoods around San Jose didn't really seem to impact it that much, because this is actually 76. So we saw a 24% decrease in pricing in Willow Glen. And for the majority of San Jose, we're seeing about a 23% decrease for single family homes. And that's actually what I wanted to really cover next. Something to keep in mind here is that this data is reflective of single family data, not condos and townhomes. And typically, single families tend to hold their values a little bit better during times of uncertainty and times of volatility. However, one thing to note is that the run-up on single families were so much higher during the first part of last year, of 2022, that actually you could expect the run-up or the fall to be more impactful or greater in the single family sector from peak to trough, because that's really what Goldman Sachs is talking about. They're not saying that in 2023, we're going to experience another wave or another 25%. That is not what the article said. The article said that from the peak prices in 2022, we're going to see a 25% decrease in pricing. And guess what? It looks as if that's already happened. Goldman Sachs is telling us what we already knew, data that's already very available to everyone here in the Bay Area. Another thing to keep in mind is that rates have come down fairly significantly over the last couple of months, and that has brought life back into the market. Inventory levels have come down rather significantly over the last 3 months. And if you've watched previous Silicon Valley snapshots, you'll know that the delta between inventory levels and pending activity has come together pretty closely, to the point where right now we're about to see more buyers in the marketplace than there are homes, much like we did at the beginning of 2022 and parts of 2021, after COVID in 2020, etc. So we're at the beginning stages of a renewed multiple offer market. We are seeing it right now in the real estate community. Homes getting 2, 3, 4, 5, some getting 10, 15, 20 offers on a single home again, now that it's the beginning of the new year. This type of market will inevitably cause prices to come up, to rebound already. This is not speculation. We are seeing multiple offer situations where home prices are already getting bid up 50, 75, 100K. Again, of course, the media only makes money when they sell papers or clicks or however they're making money nowadays, because who knows, right? But these clicks, when articles get clicks, when headlines get picked up, obviously it's meant for shock and awe. It's a very shocking headline. But the truth is, the vast majority, if not all of the carnage that Goldman Sachs has predicted has clearly already been done, at least here in the Bay Area. Now, when they talk about Phoenix and San Diego and Austin, I don't know those markets quite as well as I do this one, but something tells me that the storyline in those markets is pretty similar to what we're seeing here in the Bay Area. Because let's face it, the run-up was so tremendous at the beginning of 2022, heading into May, that it was inevitable after the rates rose as fast as they did, that we were going to see prices come down. And so the prices have come down significantly around the entire country over the last 8 months. And to be honest with you, I'm actually really glad that Goldman Sachs came out with this article, because it made me fact check, and it actually forced me to look at the data and realize, wow, San Jose is on sale right now. Look at the prices right now versus where they were at the peak of 2022. If you're a buyer and seeing this data doesn't make you jump up and down and say, oh my gosh, like this is amazing news, then I don't know what you're waiting for, because I don't remember a time where you could literally get a 25% discount on a home, but it's actually here and the data is in front of you. So good news, bad news. The good news is you're going to get a 25% discount on a house if you buy in the next month or so. The bad news is that despite what Goldman Sachs might be telling you, it's not going to be an additional 25% on what we've already experienced. And that's the difference. Now, if you are a seller right now and you can hold on for a year or 2 years, then honestly, might not be a bad idea. The market's already proven, we've already shown that the ceiling is there for prices to get back up there. Now, how long we're going to take to get back up there, that remains to be seen. But to sell in market conditions like the ones that we're experiencing right now, where we're seeing less inventory, more buyers in the market because of decreased rates, this is an opportune time if the timeline is shorter. Like if you're like, hey, I need to get out of here by the end of this year, or I need to get out of here by the end of the spring or the summer, then chances are there's a window of opportunity here. And I've talked about it in previous snapshots. I've talked about this window of opportunity at the beginning of 2023 through probably like March-ish of this year. Very similar to 2019, we had a very hot Q1 and a relatively stable, neutral Q2, Q3, Q4 in 2019. I expect something very, very similar here in 2023. What do you think is going to happen with the Bay Area housing market? I would love to hear your input, so go ahead and leave your comments down below. And if you made it this far in the video and you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click that subscribe button, click the little notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. It costs you nothing, and it helps us get in front of more people just like you that need to hear the truth. Not the fear-mongering media's exaggerated headlines, but actual cold, hard data. This is Danny Gould, selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next Silicon Valley Snapshot.